Okay, so it right before we started, I was trying to talk to Riley about the things I could remember from last session. There are a couple things, but I might need some help filling in the blanks. So the last time we left off, the Fellowship of the Standing Bear had just returned to Windshire from their exploration in the Meadoff Peaks to find what would be the operations of her old crew with all this Radaghast stuff. With all of that encounter going down, you essentially moved shop back to Windshire. You took all the research you could find, everything that looked like it was important, including the recovering bodies of Lock and Key and Gravebones. Um, in which time, last we left, Fia had spent quite a lot of time in the infirmary with Gravebones to sort of like help in her recovery. And it was teased that maybe Gravebones could have feelings for Fia with this so close to death situation. Um, I know that there were talks between the group of like the philosophy behind the Graveborn and like potentially being able to save aspects of their personality before they returned to sort of give them like a more humanity, I guess, in a sense. I know there was more RP than that, but outside of that, you guys were informed of what seemed to be some sort of stinky threat outside the city limits that appeared to be some sort of rat king that you all took the opportunity to like fucking demolish. It was still a fun fight, but it was like a speck of dust on your guys' armor plates. So that's as much as I can remember from last session. Does anyone else have anything to fill in the blanks?
Yeah, I could hop in. So we had the meta sort of set up for Zafriel. So Zafriel took that time to train the troops, and that would be what I would
Yes.
assume he would be happening during this session is going back and spending this entire session training troops in Windshire. Um, Jeffrey ended up. We did found out that Jeffrey was actually a girl during last session as well.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
And then, like you spoke about, the Graveborn were a pretty big consideration because we had talked about maybe making Lock and Key into Graveborn if it wasn't going to be
Right.
successful. And that was a pretty heated argument between uh, Raiden, Zafriel, and Troxy because
And
Troxy was
Troxy.
very against it, whereas Zafriel was kind
Right.
of like whatever we want to do to save their lives. And which is kind of where Raiden was at, is like if it seems more likely that we're going to get them to survive by making them Graveborn, we should go with that instead of like trying to force them to not be that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I said
Right.
basically if they wanted to, like if they willed it like they wanted to, then I'm fine with it. But if not, I'm against it.
the
Um.
other sort of breadcrumbs we got is we built the war table, and between
Yes.
Mox's war table and Troxy's like sprouts that had gone out and been scanning the area, we kind of pinpointed where the most likely spot for Radagast was.
Yes. That was like one of the most critical things I wish I would have remembered. You're
Yeah,
totally
it
right.
was
Between
Raiden's birthplace.
yeah, it's somewhere just like what is it like northeast of Nim's Forest, like between the forest and the Mead Off Peaks, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
somewhere there.
Yes. One other thing I wanted to add, I know Troxy isn't present, but something that she decided to do with her downtime was starting to construct a barrier wall around the outskirts of the city. I think if I remember right, it only got like one
It was
hex
a
worth or two hex worths of wall built on the map.
yeah, and it was I think 4 feet tall, 5 feet
Yeah,
tall.
it,
Yeah,
Something
sounded
like
yeah,
that.
right.
it was like not it's not like a particularly super defensive wall, but enough to like funnel charging men, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it reminded me of kind of like Europe, like the stone walls that you put around like
Yes,
properties. Yeah.
yes, yes. Um, does anyone else have anything else to add, or is that about it?
I think that was mostly it.
I think Mox had a conversation with me and
Oh yeah.
Zephrel,
Oh
just
yeah, you
saying
finally
like
came to terms.
his
Yeah.
assumptions and all that.
Yeah, we kind of.
Oh,
Roxy and Zaf had a moment too. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
You're good.
You guys can continue, but Troxy and Zaf had a moment as well.
what was your moment with Zeph? I can't remember.
Oh, it was Troxy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she was upset about the whole thing. So it's probably like leading off from what they were saying too.
Oh yeah. It was like something about Zaf and her being at ends and how she just wasn't seeing him as a father figure anymore.
Yeah, and Zafriel was like saying like, now that you have your own underlings, you will know what it's like to be a leader type of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember that now. Well, with
At
all
any-
of that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
At any point, have we had a long rest yet?
No,
Well,
we ended
we've
off
had-
right after the fight was where
Oh,
we
yeah.
ended.
Yes,
That's what I
after-
thought. Okay.
Yeah, after the fight, yeah. Well, with all that being said, we will pick up right as the last finishing blow was dealt to the Rat King. A few moments later, that you've all had enough time to catch your breath and sort of like let your adrenaline die down just a little bit and come back down to earth. I will say this. Although the Rat King here is surrounded in junk and garbage and, refuse, the only thing that seems particularly interesting is the crown that the Rat King wears. At this point, because of your experience as adventurers, it's definitely magical. And that's where we will pick up for today's game.
Hell yeah. Give me the loot.
Raiden, as you go to the corpse of the Rat King, you get a little closer, and at first when you fought this creature, it was maybe like ratkin that was about taller, in between a gnome and a halfling, so maybe like 3.5, 4 feet. Now that he's dead, the closer you get, you realize the entirety of his person is made up of a smattering of rats. As you approach, you actually realize that like the entire it would be impossible to like untangle. Like you imagine their tails had been like become knotted and to such an extreme point. Upon removing the crown, the magicness that was holding the Rat King together disperses. All the rats are dead, but now they're untangled, so you just have this heaping pile of dead rodents in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Upon inspection, can I? Typically, this is like reserved for identify, which I don't know if you have. Do you?
I might.
Because if not, I'll let you roll an Arcana check for brevity.
Let's see. Nope, doesn't look like it. So nope.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay. Go ahead and roll an Arcana check for me.
Arcana check coming up. 23.
Oh yeah. So this isn't a world-ending magic item, but upon wearing the crown, it doesn't require attunement. You automatically have the passive ability to communicate with rats, and you, what's the spell called? It's like summon something. It's like a druid spell.
Familiar?
No, not summon familiar. It's like summon. Oh shit! Hold on. What's it called? It's a spell that lets you summon creatures of a certain CR level. Oh, what's it called? Hold on, I gotta look it up.
Summon creatures.
Okay, you know what? To save the sake of me trying to manically find what the fuck this is, I'm going to say that this allows you to summon like 40 rats.
40 rats.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this to Engless. It just feels right.
So, real quick, when you summon the rats, it's not individual. They're like considered a swarm, and we'll say that they have like 46. We'll say they have 40 hit points because it's the amount of rats, and when the rat pile loses hit points to 0, then instead of tracking 40 rats, we just track the
swarm.
overall health of the swarm.
Yeah. I'm the king of the Graveborn, the king of undead. Zafril's the leader of the group, and Troxy's the leader of her grove. Engless, I think it's only fitting you are the king of rats.
And he kind of like points over at Ectome, like, spiders. With like a sad face.
Well, I wish it was the crown of spiders, but unfortunately the best we have is the crown of rats.
And he kind of like gets this wild look in his face as he stands up, and he puts his hands on his hips and proudly proclaims, "I am the king of rats!"
Actually, now that I think about it, I could manipulate the magic possibly to be spiders.
Potentially, yeah.
It's just changing around the enchantment, I guess, but rats is fine.
Guys, I know we just started, but I'm wondering if we should wait for dawn since we just started. What do you guys think? I don't
We
know.
can chit chat for a second. Like,
Yeah, we can chit chat.
I just feel bad since we just started. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no worries. So, I guess after this we should get some rest and then, well, sounds like the best plan is to head out to my old home.
Engless agrees. He's like, "Yeah, I can use some rest." And he like puts his arm up and kind of like flops. He's like, "I'm a little broken right now."
Yeah, my bones have been rattled. How about you, Fia?
Yes, I agree. I could definitely take a rest. I'm feeling a little fatigued.
Yeah. We should really make a hot spring in our in the kingdom. That'd be a great place to get some good rest.
I agree. I'll light the bottom up with fire to make sure it's always warm. You can enchant it to make sure the fire's always lit.
Imagine we just do a whole RP session making a hot spring instead of doing nothing else.
It's like the equivalent of a beach episode of anime.
Yeah.
Engless is like trying to grasp this concept in his brain. He's sitting here thinking like, wouldn't you just be making people soup?
Well, I guess that's what a bath would be too, but it would just be an even hotter, bubbly bath.
And it
would have like minerals in it.
He scratches his head one more time as he says, like real slowly as he's trying to process the word, bath.
You've taken a bath before, right?
Yeah, I 100% know what that is with the flaming water and stuff that you were talking about, right?
English, please tell me you clean yourself.
Is it going to be revealed that a year into this campaign, that Engless is not a regular bather?
That Engless hasn't taken a single bath or shower or nothing. He's just caked up dirt layers.
He's Angus is
You
just
are
kinda
the
like
Rat King.
Angus is just kind of like, well, he's like, well, yeah, I clean myself, and he walks over to like Ectomy and like holds his arms up, and Ectomy just kind of like picks him up and like spins him inside of his pincers, and then sets him back down. He's all clean.
Clean how?
And Jeffrey,
Tarantula spit?
Yeah.
Jeffrey says, I don't think you stink, and I've only had consciousness for maybe a month or two now, but even I know, as an 8-lettered creature, that, cleaning is appropriate from time to time.
He leans like over towards Raiden and like kind of nudges him with his elbow, like, can you even smell in there?
Honestly, I can't smell. Nobody's asked. I can't taste, but I can't smell. So, that's probably the reason I've never noticed. I can't smell you.
And Angus like kind of trots over to Fia and like holds up his arms and is like, what about you? What do you think?
Well,
She's like,
I'm around burning things all the time, so I've never thought much of it, but now that you do that, I think that maybe you need to learn what a bath is.
God!
We need to where's the local pond? We need to drag English to it.
It doesn't help that you're by several heaping large piles of trash.
Yeah.
It's like pond,
Maybe decayed
water?
bodies.
No,
We don't know.
I don't go in water. I barely drink the stuff.
Are
I'm undead, but I have a really hard time understanding how you're not.
But I don't
Yeah.
necessarily see what the issue is. I mean, I can remember as a kid, Mom giving me and my brother like our yearly scrub down and whatnot. but-
Yearly?
Like, yeah, isn't that normal?
People take baths almost every day. Some a couple times a day.
Isn't that just a waste of water? What do you do with it afterwards? Do you drink it?
No, definitely not.
No. I mean, some people can magically clean it, I guess.
Like,
But
huh.
no, you don't
Clarissa,
drink it.
You get disadvantage on your next roll. That was disgusting. But,
Oh, Lord.
Now I think about it, in this setting, it's not. I don't particularly imagine it being like all medieval and stuff. But if you think about it, like people probably don't bathe that much. But you're
True.
an adventurer, dude. You're not some farmer. You know what I mean? Like you're killing stuff.
He's more worried about killing stuff and training his spiders and being the best superhero that he can be.
Oh, Lord. English, you probably have years worth of blood just on you.
He's like, when it rains, I go stand outside, make sure everything gets washed out. And like, I carry a cloth with me. I wipe everything off.
Honestly,
Is the
I'll
cloth
take
wet, or do you just use it to wipe up your spider webs?
And like, he pulls a dirty rag out that's just like covered in different bits of blood. And he's like, oh, it's right here. You just wipe it clean.
How often
You don't
do you
even
wash your
wipe-
rag?
it. You don't even clean your rag?
He's like, how am I supposed to wash it?
Oh my
Raiden
god.
Raiden face palms.
Raiden, we gotta teach this man some lessons.
Screw Hermione. We gotta go to the nearest river right now.
Yeah.
Yes, is there a lake nearby?
We'll say that sure, there's a stream nearby, but it's not like anything substantial. Enough
Okay.
water, though.
Okay. Raiden will just drag English by the collar to this, and it'd be like, look, there's water. You take your rag, and you put it in the water, get it soaking wet, then you wring it out. There's also this
Here.
thing called soap.
Can I say that the whole
Even
time that you
this.
were dragging Engless over to this little pond, he was just like kicking and screaming and clawing at the ground?
Yes. And when we get there, I also maybe create a little spot where water can be hot. Like there's rocks or something that I light on fire at the top. I'm like,
Sure.
this is definitely gonna need hot water to get all this shit out.
He's like, I don't want to be soup.
You
Yeah,
watch
as soon as he
like-
says that, I just push him in.
Yeah, right as
Yeah,
you
you
push-
need that too.
Right as you push him in, Fia like heats up a localized amount of rocks with her fire magic that instantly turns that spot of the creek into a rather warm one, proper for cleaning.
As you submerge like English at first, she's like, no, wait. Oh.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
nicer than you'd think.
This is heavenly.
Yeah, Raiden just takes off his gauntlets with his bony hands and he just starts scrubbing.
Oh Christ! Yeah, but like your bones are porous like what are those hummus stones or whatever they're called?
His fingers, I would imagine, are almost like a textured rocks that are kind of like loofahs, and he's just like.
He like leans forward. He's like, oh, get my backbone, daddy.
And after the next 15 minutes,
We'll say I use Mage Hand. We don't have to roleplay it, but I also use Mage Hand to help clean up his like hair, and whatever spots a skeleton can't get.
and
Yeah.
over the last 15 minutes, you and Raiden and Zaf kind of like just like rolls his eyes in the back, just watching this happen. Because of course it's Endless in the middle of all this, and Troxy doesn't necessarily have a problem with it. She's an earth spirit, so any smell I'd imagine isn't too bad for her. But I will say, Raiden and Fia, as you guys are manning this sort of endless bathing situation, it comes to your mind that it's just strange how much of a ladies' man Engless seems to be, with the amount he doesn't bathe. It's like his looks must transcend whatever smell must be coming off of him. You know what I'm saying?
Ladies
The
love
charisma.
natural must.
right.
I'm so glad I have no nose.
I will say, I mean, I didn't notice until it was pointed out, so I guess maybe all women are oblivious like me.
Oh shit!
I mean, when you live in this day and age, it's not uncommon to smell feces, anyways.
Yeah, who
English
has
just kinda, like,
time?
flexes and he's like, of course, how could you notice the smell when you've got these guns?
You watch as like flies fly out of his armpit, and you see like little tiny mushrooms growing.
Oh, Lord.
No, we took care of all those.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
like I was about to say, Engless, after about 15 or 20 minutes of this, like, honestly, a little bit over-aggressive scrubbing, it's left some of your skin irritated, but after which you emerge a whole new man.
He stands up and like he stretches, as he gets his clothes back on and everything, and runs his fingers through his hair, and he's like, whoa, this is what hair's supposed to feel like?
Yeah, maybe not so hair like maney, like a horse, maybe.
Can you just roll me a general charisma check, Endless, at advantage? I just want to see how you're feeling.
At advantage, that's an 18.
As you realize your hair, like you get done drying your hair, what's the length of your hair again? I can't remember.
It's a little past shoulder length.
Oh yeah, so it definitely has that sort of like heroic swoop to your bangs that kind of gracefully fall behind your ear as you tuck it behind it. And Endless, I mean, you know what it's like to be freshly bathed. It's not uncommon to you. But, man, Fia and Raiden really got into those nooks and crannies. And you're feeling it, dude. You're ready.
as I notice him paying attention to his hair, I know it's a little meta, but I'm gonna hand him a bottle of mane and tail shampoo
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
and say,
Mane and tail?
yeah, it's a real thing.
It is a real
I know,
thing.
but it's funny because it's also fantasy sounding if you think about it.
Exactly. That's why I chose it. And I'm gonna hand it to him and say, you know, just so because I know you love your horse hair a little bit, this will help you be right in the in between.
He's like, honestly, thanks. Like, I think I have this new profound love for this thing you call bathing. Now, if the both of you could help me out with this every single time, I would probably do it every day.
Well, I bet we can have some of Raiden's new whatever you call them. We can make it their new job.
Loofah rats.
Yeah, you can just summon a swarm of rats
Oh my
to
god,
bathe
to bathe you?
to bathe
my
you
God.
every day.
Yeah, just
I mean,
have, like,
40 rats would get it done.
You know what? This is kind of an afterthought, but upon donning the crown, you can just passively speak to rats. You can summon 40 rats, and I'm also going to say you have the ability, like if you are in a jail cell and you see a rat across the way and you happen to be wearing a crown, you can just fucking control that rat. That's what it happened. This crown gives full access to rat culture and its kind.
Don, you've missed like the funniest fucking roleplay.
Yeah, we tried to fill the space, and boy did we.
Yeah, we found out that Engless has never taken a bath or shower since he's began with the party. So me and Fia dragged him to a nearby stream and just gave him the roughest skin bath ever to clean him up.
Oh man.
Yep,
He also
so
has
pretty
now the
good.
crown of rats.
Yeah,
I-
oh yeah.
I caught that part.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that an actual item I can put in my inventory, or?
I don't think it's real. I can make a custom one, but
I
for
think
right
it
now,
is.
I'll just take a note of it for right now.
Even if it is, I don't know if the version I'm spouting out is going to be identical.
Yeah.
So for now, if you please just take some notes on what it does, because it's likely I won't remember 100% the next time around. But yeah, if you could notate that, and then I can take the time this weekend or something and just make the actual item and give it to you.
Okay, and you said it allows the summoning of like 40 rats.
40 rats as a swarm, as well as the ability to communicate with rats. And this is vague, and I'm going to leave it vague on purpose. You can like, you know, control a small amount of, like, one rat up to, like, you know, a couple to do your bidding. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
as if you were the rat.
Familiar style.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Can I use these in like combat? Do they do any kind of damage?
The swarm?
Yeah.
I think there is actually a stat block for a rat swarm. I'll have to look that up, but
Pretty sure.
But again, I don't know if it matches the same amount of. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it is. We'll see. But
Alright, that's
I
always
can look
something
it up
that.
later.
Yeah, it's always something that could just be like if I do use it at some point before you do all that, I'll just use the rat swarm stat block. But I've got a pretty solid note on that.
Got it. Okay, so. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, we're thinking of last minute pizza things. Hold on. All right. Hold on. Now I. All right. Sorry. Okay. With that out of the way, I'll save the talk back and forth, and we'll say that the entire group makes their way back to Windshire. Which, now that you know where you're going, because at first you weren't sure where the threat was, if you were to look at the map, it's in a sort of southeast sort of direction, maybe like 3.5, 4 miles outside of town. But you make your way back to the town itself. And just to make it easy, because Troxy and Zaf aren't present, I'm going to say that Zaf is going to continue working with the troops, but he will also mention that the night order that he is a part of, that he is a part of Cord, Zafriel mentions that he has a potential idea that in the future that we could potentially use the night order for an offensive strike. So while he's training the troops, he's going to be reaching out to potential contacts to see if that's an option. Troxy is going to continue building the wall that she started last session, and really mostly focusing on building the wall and working with her underlings in that aspect. Yeah, we'll pick up right back at the Windshire. As you continue walking in, you can see actually, ever since your heavy involvement within the city, especially Raiden as like the dignified ruler of these people, the overall like emotional level has decreased. There's a sense of security that these people have now, that there's not only protectors of the city, but someone who is leading them, because before this, it was just chaos. And this day proves to be prosperous for that reason. You see a lot of the Graveborn walking around, really, like, to be honest, outside of like the way some of them physically move, you wouldn't be able to distinguish this town from any other town with the amount of economic movement you can see happening within the town, at least in preparations for changes to come. And I will give you all the floor. We'll say the time, I don't remember what we left off at last session, but we'll say it's a little later in the evening, around 7, and we are starting to get that evening sun. And I'll give you guys the floor.
Okay. I wanted to actually teleport back to the tower, to one, check on the bank, and to two, grab some supplies, mainly enchanting stuff.
Okay, that's totally doable. Are you like on a meta level? Are you just like wanting like general mats for enchanting?
Yeah, because I have 4,000 gold still. There's just some. I want to finish off a couple more enchantments because I think, a slot or two in each of my armor pieces left, and I was going to throw some enchantments in there.
Okay, that's fine. How much gold worth of materials are you wanting to spend?
Well, first I was going to check the bank to see if we've had any new income yet.
It's been approximately a month since you initially left Urim to go find this whole Gravebone situation, right?
I think so.
I mean, I don't know if it's even been a month, but we'll just say that to make it easy. Between the mobile home revenue and the revenue coming from Null's blacksmithing side job with the guild and everything, I'll say that this month's earnings will come to... Hold on, give me a second to think about that.
Okay.
So 500 gold will be made from Null's side business,
Mm-hmm.
And from the mobile home, we'll say 7,500. So that brings you
Okay,
to a
so
total of
8K.
8,000. Yeah, 8K this month.
Okay,
But remember, not all of. I mean, you can take all of that. That's fine because that's
Yeah.
what it's for. But yeah, that just to let you know, that's like the whole like business that the fellowship is creating revenue.
Okay, he'll take that out because some of the things he wants to enchain are also for some of the other players.
Okay. So how much gold worth of materials do you want to buy?
I'll say 8,000.
Okay, and that's totally doable. Especially with his name Malin. I always forget. I think it is Malin.
Mail-in, yeah.
Yeah. With his help, the task is done pretty swiftly. You don't even have to run to the bank yourself. What was the other task you wanted to do?
Just start enchanting the items. That was it.
Okay. All right. So we'll say that whole trip probably takes you like an hour and a half round trip.
Okay.
How about everyone else?
What type of shops are in Windshire?
None.
Okay.
Like there. I mean, there is potential for specialized type of shops, like because the talent exists within the city. But because of its newness, really the only functioning buildings is the war room, which is if I remember right, was the tavern originally. So we'll say that's been beefed up a little bit. There's the infirmary that's been made, which has taken a lot of the focus in the last couple weeks. So that's pretty developed. But as far as shops go, you'll definitely be able to find someone who may be able to sell you something, but there are no designated shops yet.
Okay. If that's the case, Mox will probably continue training with Teddy and working on the war room. Maybe adding some additional kind of like sort of like officer rooms, not necessarily like quarters, but like
Sure.
like
Like private spaces almost?
yeah, sort of if you've been to like any military barracks or something like that, like the commander would have like a separate office where there might be like a smaller table to like him and like his first officers or whatever could like have a conversation that's not necessarily out in the open.
So it's like a one-on-one room kind of?
Yeah, so like a couple of those.
Okay.
So I would assume like Zafriel and probably Raiden at this point would probably get their own sort of rooms, just based
Okay.
off of Windshire.
Size.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then maybe looking to see if there's an opportunity to add like like a an attachment armory onto the building specifically for um, our
So,
party's sort of like personal
to
stores.
give you an idea of the layout of this building in particular, in Windshire, there are only 3 buildings, and actually one of them was destroyed when a hole was cut in the top of the ceiling
Mhm.
initially. So there are 2 buildings, and one of them is the tavern where the war room is, and the other is the stable type of place, like slash blacksmith area. Um, the tavern is is 2 levels, and there's only 6 rooms upstairs. So it's definitely possible to retrofit some of the rooms to like be what you're talking about.
Well, what I meant is not necessarily it being done during this time period, but starting like schematics and like
Oh, I
for an
understand.
addition onto the tavern.
Gotcha.
I don't want to take away from what you're doing. I already made schematics and I gave it to Null, and I was actually going to ask how the progress was. I gave him schematics to make a castle where the tavern was. Not like a huge one, but more like a fortress.
Sure. Like, I mean,
And I gave him that like when we first took Windshire.
I actually forgot about that.
No worries.
But both things can still be true.
Sure.
Yeah, I would say
so-
Mox is just assisting in that process than not necessarily doing his own thing. Yeah.
I'll say at this point, Null's still kicking in Urim. I'll say, at this point, there's a rough blueprint basically that you'd be able to like work off of. All the kinks haven't been pressed out yet. It might take another week or two to like really feel more confident about like, all right, we need people to do this. We need this much material. Yada yada yada. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking like at best case probably like foundation and maybe like frame type things set up, but even then probably bare bones.
Right.
If that sounds fair.
Good idea. Might try to hire a group to help us since I'm in Urim and we have that gold. Could be doable.
Well, technically, I mean, I guess you guys could have had that conversation before, but I assume you kind of bamped out before. So on a meta level, we'll save that for later.
Sure.
But I guess since you're kind of coming in, Raiden, what would you like to be doing as the group kind of splinters off when you get into Windshire?
All right. So I was gonna finish up these enchantments. Most of them I've already made before, and since going off the rules, it only takes me about a minute to do the enchantments if I know the like enchantment. So I was just gonna recreate those. I was gonna make Fia a cloak of mind sharpening, giving her advantage on Constitution saves for her spells concentration.
Cool.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed in the last fight it was something that could help. And that's something Raiden already has. It's one of his infusions, so I was just going to make that.
Okay. But for another person, basically?
Yeah, and just give her that.
Sure.
And of course, you can style it however you want, RP-wise. And then I was going to just add the protection enchantment to a couple of my armor pieces.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So, I am sort of privy to the rules, but it's been a minute since I looked through the enchantment stuff. I'll just take it for your word. I think that's a thing that artificers can even do innately.
Yeah, I can with the infusions.
Yeah, so how many pieces of armor do you put the protection on?
So let's see, I'm looking. The chest already has one in the legs, so I guess the helmet, the arms, and the shield. Helmet, arms, and shield. So that's 3.
Okay. Did we already determine the cost for? Oh wait, no, you already know how to do the cloak. I mean, the thing that.
Yeah, I'm skipping past it with the gold,
right.
And it was uncommon. I think we put it at 500.
That's right. Okay. And then the protection stuff, that's an artificer thing, right? Not necessarily an enchantment thing?
Well, that's all enchantment. Yeah, that's an enchantment.
Okay. So, have we already priced out the protection enchantment yet?
That's the 500. That's what I meant.
Okay. What about the concentration check thing?
It's an uncommon item. I don't know what the pricing is because it's blank, but we could do the same.
250 for now.
250. Okay.
Yeah. So how much total is that?
So that's
500 times 3 is
1,500
plus the
1750.
1750.
So I'm just taking that out of my gold then.
Also, side question: what was the name of your right-hand man for Windshire? I can never remember.
Poddington. Poddington too.
No, not Poddington, but like it was like the natural Graveborn guy.
Oh, I don't think we made it. I think the last session we were going to, but we hadn't gotten around to it.
But he's come up a couple times. It's you know what? We'll just think of a name for a guy for a Graveborn, and we'll come back to that when it's relevant.
His name's John. We'll just go with John.
Okay, so I'm going to say, with all between your trip to Urim and then the enchantment work back in Windshire, you'll probably be free around like 9 or 10. Well, no, it only takes 2 minutes. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you're free. It doesn't matter. Okay, so moving on. Thea or Endless, what are you guys up to?
Whoops.
So I think English is gonna do English things, and he's gonna kind of like regroup with both Jeffrey and like Ektome, and it's kind of like, guys, I have more for the secret army that we're building, even though it's not really a secret. Jeffrey, you know what you're doing. But check this out, as he like puts the crown of rats upon his head and just screams, "Rats!"
And immediately, right as Endless states this, out of nowhere, because like rats are like they are able to hide for good reasons, and just in that moment, you see 6 or 7 rats come up to Endless's side and kind of like sit up on their butts with their paws up in the air.
And he says, "See, not only are we gonna, because of Jeffrey, have, you know, however many spiders we end up with, and we've
God
got
damn
this big behemoth Ektome here. Now we have rats." As he kind of like leans down and pats Jeffrey on the head.
Wow, what a perfect gift that is.
Have you
How
seen
does
it?
Jeffrey feel?
uh, you know, whether it's because Jeffrey is a spider or for other reasons, you're not sure in this moment, Fia. But Jeffrey seems rather like not even bothered by the rats. You don't even sense as a bit of jealousy or anything. Like Jeffrey feels confident in herself, and the rats seem to be, like like how a puppy would be, like a dog would be if you told them that the house hamster was cool. Like they're not going to eat it, and they're like, okay.
Great. I see it.
That's really all like English is gonna do. He's gonna play around with Jeffrey, Ektome, and the rats.
Sure. Um, Go ahead and roll an animal handling check to see, because you're still kind of working with it, Tommy, right? Because you worked out some
Yeah.
maneuvers last session as far as like crawling on walls and stuff, but just to further cement that, go ahead and roll an animal handling check.
That would be an 11 on that.
Okay, you know, you, marginal progress is made. It's more about spending the quality time at this point, though.
Yeah, and regardless if Ektome did good or well, English is still gonna like reach up and pat her on the head too. He's saying, "I'm super happy you're a part of this family. Don't let anybody else's bigotry bother you. You are a gorgeous spider, and everybody loves you."
You just see Itome just kind of like get low to the ground with her abdomen and just sort of like nuzzle you in the chest. But her head takes up the majority of your chest.
And people fear spiders. They're just furless puppies with more legs.
So moving on, Fia, what would you like to be doing with your time in this in the evening hours of Windshire?
So Fia's after bathing English, Fia's gonna still go back to the infirmary, but she knows she doesn't want to like be isolated from the group anymore. So she's kind of like finding an in between area. Like she was able to watch English and the whole. Like she's kind of outside the infirmary tent, watching what English is
Gotcha.
doing and what everyone is doing, and making her comments from a distance, like she did with English, but also keeping an eye on her friends in the infirmary and kind of doing everything all at once.
Okay. And as the evening hours go by, it's a particularly clear night. You have been getting some like days of rain here, just because of your proximity to the coast. But tonight is nearly cloudless, and as the sunset drops below the horizon, and the oranges and purples get consumed by dark blues and blacks. Just so be it. Just about a month and a half ago, you were just here fighting Hermione with a full moon and uh, the incantation that you were able to disrupt. Now Windshire is blessed once more with a beautiful, bright yellow full moon, and the sister moon that's much smaller is just like a barely of a like a crescent shape. Lines up almost. You imagine around 12 or 2 o'clock, the moon will be just above the hole of the dome in the ceiling, and it's interesting to see how the powerful moonlight shines down through the hole at the top of the dome because it acts as like a natural spotlight, if you will. And as the evening hours come to a close, what do you all like to do?
Fia as is going to still be by the infirmary, but as she winding down for the night, she kind of checks in on everyone. She goes over to Engless and sees what Engless is up to. And I'll kind of wait for everybody to do their one-on-one and put in my little 2 cents. And I'll do that with everyone in the group. I'll kind of walk around and see what everyone is up to before I go to bed.
Well, we'll just do that right now. So, Engless, it's about 9:30, 10 o'clock, well into the nighttime hours. And as you're sort of like maybe finishing up your work with your companions, Fia approaches.
Hey, Engless. I saw you earlier today with your little Spidey friends, and now your newfound rat friends, it looks like. I'm just checking in on everyone since Zafriel's kind of mending to the sick people. How you doing?
He kind of like looks up towards the sky and looks down at his feet. He says, "It's odd, this feeling. We've been at this for so long, and I always thought that getting revenge for my brother would set everything right in the world, but it hasn't. And it feels like the more we climb down the weaving webs of what is truly happening, the more and more I worry. Not only that, but I also still have a crazy demon bitch that's after me, and I know that's my fault, but that kind of puts a damper on things. But I'm good." And he holds up both thumbs. He's like, "How are you?"
You know, my old friends are hanging on to life or death. We don't really know, so I'm kind of in the in-between at the moment. But, I mean, yeah, at least I don't know what's going on with all this stuff with your brother and how to find out where went wrong with that. But yeah, I'm sorry you've been through so much trying to get to this area with us. And I know revenge always seems like the easier answer, but I think that kind of what ends up what happens when you actually get it. It doesn't actually resolve the hurt. It kind of, I don't know. You feel like it will resolve the hurt, but then it almost makes it fester in a way because it doesn't really. And then now you've done something yourself. So I get it. Because I feel the same way with my past. People have hurt people I love, and I don't really know how to deal with that. So I get it.
And English, like, he has a split moment in his head where he replays watching uh, Jeffrey pull off the head of Mizvik, I think his name
Mizvik.
was. Mizvik. And as he replays that in his head, he kind of shakes it off. And he says, revenge making it worse in a way is putting it kind of lightly. But I know in the end, as much stuff as we've been through together, this is where I need to be. And this is where I've always needed to be. I could have gone back home after Ms. Vic's death, but I didn't. Because I can't. Because you guys are my family now. And he puts his hand on his shoulders, on Fia's shoulders, and says, I know that what your former friends are going through right now has got to be rough. If there's anything that I can do, Fia, just follow the spiders.
Yeah, you know, part of me feels like it's kind of along the revenge lines. I feel like if I were to find whoever's behind all this, it might help. But upon our own journeys, we found that the more answers we find, the more it leads to unanswered questions. So I wonder what would happen if I also sought revenge and went after Hermione, for example. Who knows? I know we're all going after her anyway, but it's never as quite easy as you think it is. So I'm kind of in the same boat. I obviously, you know, want to go after who hurt my friends, but I know that brings danger to everyone here. And so it's a little complicated, but yeah, I guess in a way, finding my friends helps us find Hermione, but in a way, it's like me fulfilling my revenge. And what does that mean? You know, what consequences are we going to face because of that?
And with that, I'm going to use Fia as the magnet that pulls the rest of the group at the end of the evening. So at the tail end of your conversation, Engless, if you don't mind, you pick up with Fia. And since it was your goal to check in with everybody, that's how I'm going to use you as a narrative tool, so to speak. Who is the next person of the team you'd like to go talk to?
I'm going to leave Engless with, as we figure out what revenge means to us, I hope you have a good night's sleep. And I head over to Raiden, and
Okay.
I see that he's in the middle of
Raiden,
making
what
some
are you?
spells.
Yeah, what you're? I don't know if you are still enchanting at this process, but like, where are you and what are you doing when Fia comes upon you?
I think Raiden's in like his throne room, quote unquote. It's really where all the lab equipment and now is. It's like a storage room almost is how it looks. Boxes and tomes and all kinds of things are everywhere.
Where Raiden would want to be, though, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's really his heaven. And he's sitting there, he's holding the phylactery in his hand, and he's just trying to understand its and try to see if he can ordain power from it to help the Forsaken. But if not, in a way also see how he can destroy it.
Are you still armored up?
Yeah.
So, Fia, you come upon Raiden as he sits upon a chair that is thrown in the middle of chaos of essentially what are the equivalent of like filing boxes and like not filing boxes, what's the filing cabinets and like boxes with papers and scientific instruments all over the place. As you come upon him, sort of like gazing at the phylactery in his hand, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I see you pondering the phylactery, and I also don't really quite know what to do with that. But I think for now you're doing the right thing. I think we should probably Not destroy it yet till we have more answers, and guard it with everything we have. But what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about your friends and my duty as the new king of these people. I'm trying to understand if I can get some necromantic power to help not only your friends but the Graveborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Forsaken. If I can't do that, then the best odds we have is to destroy it.
Yeah, I mean, so what's hard about this is like there's too many unknowns right now. But I agree that eventually, if it's what's his name again? What's his butt? Radaghast. Only way to get here, we should definitely destroy it. But doesn't it seem to be the power to some of these undead? Or no? Am I getting that confused?
There is a strong correlation, yeah. It's because like if you remember when you first discovered like the machinery that was like essentially like providing power to the vats that had like Radagast clones in was being powered by the phylactery.
Yeah. So we don't know if this phylactery is just his power to the other side, or if it's actually what's empowering your new undead army. So that's kind of what's hard is if we destroy it, we might destroy our opportunities of getting these people back.
And that's something I'm thinking on too. It could be the only thing keeping them alive or in this undead form, but I mean, is it all that good of a life? I think if it really came down to it, I'd rather destroy it, whether it ended up killing me or them. I think it would be a balance to the events that's happened to this world.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from. Because if it is powering all the undead, it could be almost an abomination itself, keeping everything else alive that should be dead. But I think right now we just have too many unknowns. Like, is it doing that, or what is it actually doing? Because so for now, I think we should just. I think what you're doing is guarding it, contemplating it is probably the best thing we can do right now.
I agree. It's not worth losing sleep over tonight. I think I'm going to turn in.
Yeah.
And with that, Fia, as you sort of leave Raiden to ponder himself before heading out for the night, you try to find Mox. Mox, where are you and what are you doing?
If it's like the beginning of like sunset time frame, he's probably like wrapping up.
We're probably 9:30 to 10 at this point.
I guess it depends on time of year
What I'm
then.
saying is it's nighttime. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it is nighttime. Sorry.
At that point, he would have wrapped up basically when it started to get dark, whatever construction he kind of had made progress on, and then he would have went to go kind of like take Teddy out and kind of like probably walking the perimeter of the town with Teddy, sort of thing.
Okay. So yeah, Fia, your initial instinct was to head to the war room, and upon getting there, Mox wasn't to be found, and going throughout the streets, we'll say you're just kind of taking a perimeter walk around the whole place. We'll say you meet him somewhere like around the front entrance as he's sort of making his loop.
I was thinking I can't remember what I named my dog, but we'll say it's Mindy because it's Muna and Mindy mixed. But we'll after I can't find him initially, I'll take Mindy on a walk as well, and then I'll run into him on the walk.
Okay.
We have dogs.
Yeah,
Remember? I think Mox has one too, right?
yeah.
Mox is
Mine's
Teddy.
is yeah.
What he-
Yeah.
Teddy's still a puppy, but like the breed of dog they are like puppies, kind of like still the size of probably like a husky, I think, because they're rideable once they're full grown.
Oh.
Yeah. They're schnauzers. They're gonna grow up to be giant schnauzers, basically.
Oh.
But
Okay,
ride-
I'll
Made them
have
in
to think
honor
a
of
name.
Indy.
Yeah, when Indy passed, we made them in honor of her.
Oh, okay. So just they have one.
I
think everyone had one. I made notes, but I can't remember who picked what. But essentially, they were either all white or all black with like an opposing paw. Because Moon is black and Indy was white.
Oh.
So it's like a
Cool.
mix of the two of them. And then my dog was like white with black spots. And then I'm saying I named her Mindy. I can't remember if I did, but it's Muna and Indy mixed.
Anyways, so as you start to go out on the town with Mindy, it's actually you yourself don't find Mox. It's actually Mindy who kind of like gets excited and runs off in a unobedient sort of way, but ironically is what makes it so that you're able to meet up with Mox. You see that Mindy and Teddy are now kind of like wrestling with each other in the earth as you approach Mox.
You know, Mox, I was looking for you, but it looks like our dogs found each other. So it looks like we're both on our evening stroll. What have you been up to today?
Well, Raiden gave me some blueprints to beef up the our war table tavern. I honestly I don't know what the best way to describe it at its current iteration. Eventually, he wants sort of like a mini fortress. So I've been working on laying the foundation of it, at least while we're waiting on Noel to make his way from Urim. Made some decent progress,
Wow.
but with it closing out the evening, figured it was a good time to take Teddy out and let him kind of peruse the vicinity.
Yeah, it's getting kind of late. We're all kind of doing little tasks here and there for Raiden and the abominations, and glad to see it. So you're building a fortress, and then I'm just gonna. Can you take me around to show me your progress so far?
Oh,
We'll
yes.
just assume we're like walking on our walk.
You're muted.
We'll say at this point that the amount of work that's been made is basically trench work. Like we'll say like maybe like 50 to 80 feet of trench work has been made to like start to like be able to lay foundation in there.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mox would be like, "Oh yes, if you're interested, I would be happy to show you what I've currently got. Not a whole lot. If you're familiar with construction, it's usually several weeks of just getting the bare bones part of it done. But it's nice to take my mind off of the upcoming encounter that we'll have with Radaghast, or at least his minions. So it's always good to take these moments to really enjoy what you have."
Yeah, I agree. I've been worried about the whole encounter with Radagast and Hermione and what it means for my old people. So that's kind of why I'm wandering around talking to all you guys before I go to bed, because it's hard to sleep. So I want to see what you guys are all up to.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I just walk around with him and make comments on how cool it will be to see this fully done.
Mox wouldn't go super deep, but he would kind of like continue this trend of like implying that it's nice that he has something again. Because he's kind of the last 10 years he's been on his own, not really feeling like he can connect to other people for the fear of losing them again. So that's why he's kind of taken on the task to like build up and fortify what's here.
Yeah,
But it,
you know, to agree with you, this group, I've kind of had a hard time myself. Ever since my last group, which we've now encountered, has been 10 years or so since I've had the courage to reach out to other people. So, yeah, I get how hard it can be to move on.
You know, I'll say this on the meta level. I've never made that connection between Fia and Mox, but that's totally something that's totally like an almost mirrored situation. And upon building the rapport, we'll say that everyone is able to finally bed down for the night, whatever that looks like. Um, I want some sequences to go on tonight, but I want to take a little bit of a break real quick. Let's take like 15. I need to use the bathroom and do some other stuff. So we'll come back in like 15 minutes, and then yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll say as the night goes on, Raiden,
Sure.
as you finally find yourself asleep with your bony self, as it takes your consciousness, immediately you're swept with a wave of nauseousness and dizziness, which allows you to not be able to focus too well. And as it starts to come to, you hear a very familiar voice, one that belongs to Hermione. Right now, as much as you can make out, there is like a blur filter put on through your vision. You can tell that you're sitting at some sort of table in a room. If not able to discern Hermione's voice, you wouldn't be able to tell that's who was sitting across from you at the table. But you hear the words, "We're running behind schedule, and your tests seem inconclusive." By which point you feel your own body in this dream speak for you in a sense. You start to think that maybe this might be a memory. You hear, "Well, hold on. We don't know yet. I just started this 3 weeks ago. I'm on my sixth round of injections, and everything's proving to be just fine." Right as you feel a muscle spasm sort of contort your chest for just a moment, as Hermione lets out a sigh, she says, "I just don't know, Raiden. How are we supposed to know?" And that's where that leaves off.
Hmm.
And with Fia, tonight, as you fall asleep, you have this dream of eternal fire. One that's similar to that exists within your very being. And you don't necessarily imagine as you were to hear a voice creep into your head. Instead of hearing the voice, it's interpreted by the empowering flames that burst up with different levels of light. It gives you a sense of like familiarity and the idea that what you're doing at this moment seems to be what was predestined. It's a hard sort of like feeling to come to in a dream. It almost feels like a destiny that you're fulfilling in a certain way. Um, but with that, everyone awakes, and we'll say, for the sake of brevity, everyone meets in the war room after having whatever meals it was that they had. And I'll give the floor to you in a new day as the sun starts to rise. What do y'all want to do?
Well, I think it's about time we head out to the laboratory. We've waited long enough. Go for it.
I was just agreeing, saying yes.
Ah. If nobody has any other business, we can be headed on.
Box will just nod in agreement.
And Engless, like, he looks at you, he's like, I, the King of Rats, have nothing going on. We can proceed as you wish.
And like Dumbledore from Harry Potter, he just puts out his arm, grab hold.
And
he's like,
oh, sorry, bud.
oh, he was just gonna say something smart. He just grabs hold of you.
And upon invoking your extremely powerful staff, where would you like to go?
So with the information given and the pinpoints on the map, he's gonna basically try to head for those coordinates. I assume with the war map, there's some kind of topography that could be made for a rough coordinate area.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So he'll just kind of not straight up in the entrance, but maybe a mile out.
So let me pull up the map real quick.
Go for it.
Okay, I'm actually going to try and stream this so it's easy for you guys to see.
Sure.
Okay. Do y'all see the world map here?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so between Troxy's underlings and with Mox's research, the most probable area that this hideout could be is right in these two hexes. From what you've been able to dial down, you have about a 30-mile radius or so in these two hexes that it could be.
Is this the hideout where they were at before?
No, this is like the potential hideout that Hermione is operating out of currently.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
From your research, Mox, you specifically have the inkling that it may be closer to the Medoc Peaks in this area, as opposed to the Nims Forest right here. So your best guess, Raiden, is in this half hex right here along the Medoc Peaks.
And that's where he'll shoot for.
Okay, do you want to go for the plains, or do you want to go towards the tree line and like the mountainous area?
The tree lines.
Okay. Alrighty. Let me just end the stream real quick. Okay. So as you what I'd just like to hear it again. What does it look like when you use teleportation with your staff?
So a large purple like magic circle, kind of like you make to summon something like a Naruto,
Sure.
or some kind of like that, forms around encompassing the party. So like a good 20-foot radius maybe. And as we all kind of lock hands, he just kind of tink tink with his staff, taps twice.
Okay.
As the purple light grows until it's almost like a flash, just straight up and they're gone.
And for everyone in the party at this point, grown accustomed to the teleportation magic, but just as a swift reminder, it literally feels like you're shunted into a new space simultaneously, and there's this artificial whoosh that happens. At this point, you're used to it, but getting, the first time or second time around, it may be a little disorienting. At which point, though, we'll say it's 9:30, and you are just in the tree line. The trees here are very evocative of the trees that are in the forest near Windshire. You can see through the tree line where the meat-off peats are, but it's probably about 10 or 15 miles out. It's not super dense where these trees are, and at the moment, you don't see any sort of structures or anything of the like. What would you like to do?
Well,
We'll
this
say,
tracking's not my specialty.
yeah. And also, just for clarification, we'll say that you're like right on the tree line, so you're not like in this wooded area by the mountains.
First, just confirming, we did a long rest, yes?
Yes.
And then Mox would kind of search the surrounding area, trying to combine the intel he has for what signs to look for, and then kind of use that as his guide. He is proficient in survival as well, so he should have a decent idea of like what signs to look for like living creature type stuff.
We'll get to that ability check in just a second. I want to see. I'm assuming that the party is going to help in some way or shape or form. Does anyone want to assist Mox in this effort?
Sure. I'll add a flash of genius to it, and the way this kind of comes through is Raiden just trying to remember his past, what little he can of the area, trying to remember if he remembers these rocks or remembers this feeling, kind of thing.
Okay. Does anyone else want to contribute?
I'll contribute. Just like give him advantage. But where was he looking specifically? Was he just looking along the?
Well, in the general area, but we're just about to get to that with this roll.
Okay, we'll just say that I was helping him then.
With that, Mox, because of your initial research that you had done, combined with the intel that Troxy was able to provide, I was going to give you a +5 to the roll. But it sounds like you're also getting a flash of genius, which makes it a +10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I already should have advantage if we're counting the creatures as undead, because I have advantage for that.
I wouldn't give you advantage for that just because it's not specifically undead that you're necessarily trying to look for, but you're getting an advantage from your companions helping you.
Perfect.
So go ahead and roll an advantage and add a +10.
Okay.
5 of which being from Flash of Genius.
Come on, big money. Ooh,
32 with the +10.
Okay. So I don't know how I'm going to conduct this. With that high of an ability check, you're going to find. I want you to tell me how you find what leads you to the structure.
So kind of based off of Mox's background, he's kind of spent the last 10 years actively traveling in the wilderness, looking for things that stick out. Typically, it's geared towards demons, because that's what he's typically hunting. But that knowledge is kind of like given him what things to look that aren't normal, especially in wilderness areas like this. So I would say whatever little thing it is that sticks out, like he's able to key in on it because it's like, oh, those leaves wouldn't naturally fall like that. You can tell the leaves have been spread to cover something or whatever sort of trajectory that would fit.
Okay, sure. Okay, so based off of that, you start to, after taking about 45 minutes of scouting out probably a good like 2 mile area worth of space just to get your bearings, you start to pick up on you find this at first you thought it was odd, but it could just be a standalone thing. This type of rock has moss on it, but it's not growing on the right side, which is what gets you at first. Until about 200 yards away, a little inward of the forest line, you find not an identical, but a similar rock outcropping that's like, minimal at best. Like it maybe stands like 2 or 3 feet out of the ground. Again, with moss growing on the wrong side in accordance to like how the sun would go to and fro. And this is your first breadcrumb. As you begin to lead the party further and further into this forest line, I will say after about an hour and a half of tracking down where these particular trail markers would be, if you will. Oh, our pizza just showed up, everybody.
Ooh,
Take 5
happy day.
Not take 5, just a couple moments. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're
Sure.
fine.
Man, this is crazy. A lot of emotions here. This is where Raiden was born. He's not been here, and he honestly can't remember his memories here. He basically, the first time he started having memories is when he first walked into a human town, butt-ass naked as a skeleton, and they almost killed him. So now I'm just like, man, I can't wait to see what his birthplace looks like. The way I'm starting to imagine teleportation now when I think about it is like, it would be kind of jarring, especially if you're not used to it. Because imagine you're standing on like a rug in an inn, and then you get teleported into a forest, and now you're like standing on a twig, or you get tripped over because your foot's now lodged under a log or something.
Right. I
It's
kind
like where
of
you're standing's different.
the way that I kind of like envision it in my mind, like, is like, have you ever seen the movie Jumper and like what they go through as they learn how to
Yes.
how to jump like that? Like it's gotta be jarring, you know?
Dude, Jumper seriously had such an impact on my life that when I first started making videos as a young teenager, I would make cuts emulating the movie Jumper. So I'd
Oh, that's cool.
make little videos of me like teleporting around the place.
Yeah.
I always think of oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say that movie's super underrated.
I think it had the unfortunate, because it was set, or it happened like in between some of the prequels, and a lot of people had this like disdain for Hayden Christensen, saying he was a bad actor.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good actor. It's just the writing for the prequels is campy at best.
Right.
Sad.
Dominoes.
I hate sand.
But for the teleportation, I always think back to like Stargate, and like the first few episodes always kind of like hits on like how like they'll like throw up and shit the first time they go through it, because like you're like warping through like this wormhole going across the galaxy instantaneous, so like it fucks with your just body.
Well, if you think about it, you're flying, like the Earth is going around the sun at like 20,000 miles an hour. So you're basically teleporting at that speed to a different spot on the Earth. Like it's almost like you disconnect from Earth's gravity, wait until the planet rotates 20,000 miles an hour to that spot, and then smack right back into place.
Dude, I never thought about it like that, but that makes teleportation even crazier.
Yeah, and imagine you're standing on a flat surface in the end, and then all of a sudden, like, you're in a forest, and there might be a pebble just right where your foot lands, and you just stub your fucking toe into it because that's just how you landed.
Dude, you know what? That kind of like adds more credence to like why it's a higher level spell if you think about it.
Yeah. You're basically having to disconnect from reality and come back into it.
You're literally adjusting the laws of physics.
Yeah.
Oh shit, dude! Magic is cool.
Dude, I love it.
Okay, so bringing it back in, Evan, we could use a little bit of a darker mood change. I
Oh
think.
yeah. Get some spookies.
Yeah, there we go. Something like that. Okay. Like I said, about an hour and a half or so of trailing these markers that you've been able to identify, Mox. After a certain point, I don't remember who did the whole group go to the site where the Radagast tree was.
Yes, the
Okay.
second time, yes.
Okay, so this will become evident to everybody as you go further and further following these trail markers. Um, the trees begin every 50, 80 feet or so become less and less lively, at which point where it gets to a point where it's really obvious. Like some of the bark on the trees, you can tell is like kind of dried out, and definitely gives signs of like decay. Some of these trees, even though they still sport leaves, they've all kind of like dulled, if you will. They haven't quite turned the bone white gray color like the tree was, that Radagast was, but the further you go in, the more and more you notice the environment is being affected. At which point, is are you? Hold on, let me check. Is anyone else besides Raiden proficient in Arcana?
Yes.
You are.
Yeah, I have. It's another one that I have advantage on for, I think,
Okay.
relating to Fey, Fiends, or Undead.
Um, this is more of an Arcana, specifically like.
I'm proficient either way, but I get advantage
Okay.
on those ones.
Okay, so it won't be advantage, but I would like both you and Raiden to roll Arcana checks.
19.
13.
Okay, so Mox, I will say that you notice it first, but Raiden, when Mox points it out, it becomes immediately obvious. For the last 5 minutes or so, Mox, you realized you've crossed like a magical threshold, if you will. It's hard to put your tongue to it, but when you bring it to Raiden's attention, Raiden, you realize that this field, so to speak, that you've walked into is potentially capable of alerting whoever may have put the field down to begin with. If you judge your surroundings and everything like that, it doesn't seem that you've set off any type of alarms. But going forward, it might be important to go stealthily and potentially find a way around potentially finding a source of what this field could be to take the pressure off of the situation. But still no sign of the stronghold, if you will, the laboratory. You imagine continuing to following the path would be, best. I just am bringing it to your attention.
Raiden, it looks like we're heading in the right direction. Do you know what this magical aura that we've encountered is?
Hmm. Could he try to understand what it was, or was that what the Arcana check was that we just did?
Yeah, that's kind of that was the.
Oh, okay. Would identify work for this, or no? I guess that's more for items.
Yeah, yeah, it's more for items. I think. I don't know. Well, unless if it specifically states that you could identify like a magical effect being
Oh
produced.
wait, I don't even have identify. That's right.
Would if we were to like investigate, would we be able to like determine the what's where it's originating from?
You could certainly try for sure.
I'd like to help him with this.
Okay.
If anything, I would
roll-
say I would take a back seat to Raiden since Raiden's got more experience with this type of magic.
Sure. That sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, if you guys want to try and look for a source of what this could be doing, that's totally possible. I would take either perception, investigation, or arcana for this roll.
I'll do Arcana just because trying
Okay.
to just the kind of means I'm trying to do.
Sure. And that's roll at advantage.
I'm gonna roll that at advantage, and then I'm gonna add Flash of Genius to that. I rolled a 17, then plus 5. That's 22. Mm-hmm.
Know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now knowing that's kind of what you're looking for, Raiden, you're essentially looking for some sort of artifact, whether it be some sort of obelisk or central point of focus, like a cornerstone in a building or anything. You keep that in mind. Before we get to the resolution of that roll, can I do a group stealth check real quick?
Oh, good lord.
I'm bad at those.
That is like the worst roll I have. I actually roll at disadvantage.
Yeah, so do
Engless
I.
says he's bad, and he has a +7.
Yeah. I have a +3 at disadvantage.
Yeah, that's a 9 for Mox because I have a +2 at disadvantage.
Yeah,
That's a 7.
at disadvantage, that would be an 11.
Well,
Wow.
do you actually? I have disadvantage because of my armor.
Yeah.
Same.
Oh, well.
Okay, so this is how this is going to resolve. About
Get
100 or
fucked.
so. Well, I'm going to give you a chance not to get fucked. We'll see what happens. So, Engless, Raiden, as
Yeah.
you and Mox continue forward at this sort of the front of the group, you see a stone pillar that seems to be sitting in the middle of an. It's not necessarily an opening because at this point, you guys are starting to get closer and closer to the Meadoff Peaks. You see the stone pillar that stands about maybe 3.5, 4 feet off the ground, with a bronze bell placed upon it.
Uh-huh.
And right as you guys enter the space of this clearing, we'll say that it's like 40 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Right as you guys enter, it lifts off of the stone pillar that it's on, and you are anticipating the alertion of the not alertion. What's the spell? The activation of the alert spell, essentially. And I'm going to give everyone a chance to stop this from happening. I don't know how. But
The spell
please.
magic.
Oh shit! Okay, never mind. Okay. Okay? So right as you, Raiden, this is you're literally looking for exactly that. You don't know what it's going to be, but you'll know when you see it. And right as you stumble into the area, you're like, "Oh shit!" And you reach out and like snap your fingers, and right as the bell raises and it's about to clunk, it reaches out to the side and drops to the ground immediately with the smell magic.
That was a close one. We'll have to keep out for that. Well, clearly it was an alarm system. So we are definitely on the right track.
After which, I need everyone to roll a perception check.
Hey. Oh, damn. I can't tell if that's the nat symbol or the crit symbol, but that was a nat.
That would be a 16 for Engless.
Okay.
3 for
Okay.
Mox.
Okay.
That's an 8 from me. I was too busy
11.
dispelling.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Hey, Riley's feeling a little ill and may need to step away for just a little bit.
Okay.
Alright. Yeah, no worries there, my love. Okay, so Endless, what did you roll?
16.
Okay, I'll say this. Because of the group's distraction with the bell, you weren't able to quite take in your surroundings, but Endless, um, this little alarm bell essentially was about 40 feet away, and just beyond that, you can see the startings of the steep incline of the Beanoff Peaks. Just behind a couple of trees, maybe 100 feet, 150 feet away from you, you can see what clearly looks like a manicured entrance, so to speak. It seems to have been built in a way to like not be totally obvious, but with your familiarization with like this territory, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
English is gonna share this information with everybody else as he kind of points in that direction and tells Raiden what he saw with his elf eyes.
Well, looks like we found the entrance. I would say we need to be of utmost stealth in this operation, but I clearly am not inclined.
Mox would agree. I'd start kind of like looking over the entrance to see if there's any obvious sort of traps, aside from the bell that we had already kind of encountered.
You'll have to get a little bit closer to the entrance to inspect for traps. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Because right now you're about right now you're about 100 or so feet away. After Endless points it out, you can see it now. It's sort of built into the rock as it starts to go up into the mountains.
Yeah, unless there's some obvious sort of thing between me and that entrance, Mox would move towards it and start inspecting.
Make an investigation check, please.
Nat 20, 29.
Wah! Okay.
These are like all of the things that Mox is like built to do.
Right? So, as you get closer to the entrance, upon closer inspection, there doesn't seem to be much of any mechanical traps per se. You test the as you get closer, just for reference. There are 2 stone doors that probably take up about 6 feet of space. That is just in the side of this mountain. There are some rocks strewn across the place that kind of like obscure its visibility. But upon inspection, there are no like mechanical traps or pressure plates or anything that would give you the impression that this is trapped. Furthermore, you don't see, with your proficiency with the arcane, you don't see any glyphs or anything of the like that appears to be associated with the door or the entryway. You get the gold star of this is good to go, baby.
Yeah, you turn back. Unless you guys see anything additional, I think we're safe to proceed. Shall we enter?
You know, I had an interesting idea. With our new crown here, English, you think you could procure us a rat to scout ahead?
As he kind of sits back with a smile on his face and he goes, I thought you'd never ask, as he dons his crown and kind of puts his hands down towards the ground, and he just says, rat. 1 rat.
And your voice reverberates reverberates into the ground almost to send like a some sort of like radar sort of burst of whatever. Um, Unfortunately, maybe because of where you're at, the only creature that seems to respond to your call, your mighty call with the crown, is a measly field mouse that was tucked into one of the rocks by the door. He kind of pops down and comes over. Oh, hello.
It
Cute.
talks.
Yeah. I mean,
You speak rat now.
Oh,
You
yeah,
speak
that is.
Yeah,
that's-
Squeak, squeak.
Yeah, you just hear a bunch of squeaks, basically, everyone else.
and I would love to be in the mind of everybody else as they watch Engless just squeak back at this map.
I'm
like
thinking
Croc.
like Ant-Man, and like
Right.
I'm like hoping that you do the Ant-Man routine where like you name every single fucking one that you like encounter.
Sure.
He's my little friend. I have a favor to ask of you.
Oh, sure. Hey, stop it. Sorry about
I just imagine the scene from Emperor's New Groove. Squeaker, squeak, squeaking, squeaker, squeakerton.
that. Yeah.
And
Oh, sure.
Engless,
I mean, that's a really cool hat you're wearing.
Engless turns to Raiden and says, "Well, is there anything specific I should tell him?"
Yeah. If he could just scout ahead for us, just maybe 100 feet, and just kind of let us know if anything bad happens.
And Engless leans back down towards the mouse and he says, "My little friend,
Uh-huh.
will you be so kind as to go about 100 feet in that direction as he points and kind of just look around, see if you find anything weird, suspicious, or if you see anybody else. And then once you've gone that 100 feet, turn right around, come back, and let me know what you find."
Wow. Usually I wouldn't do this kind of stuff for free. But on a point that you're wearing such a pointy crown, I feel compelled. And the mouse just turns around and goes to the door. And if everyone is not aware, a mouse can fit into any space that its head can fit into, which is just enough to get under the crack of the door. And hold on, I'm gonna make a little roll for this, just to see how the mouse does.
I feel like English feels the presence of the mouse. He's like, okay, he's going. He's going. He's dead.
Okay. About 15 minutes later, even like I would imagine some of you might be questioning the legitimacy of this crown when suddenly you hear a little scattering and a little mouse pops his little body out from under the door as he reports back to his king. Oh, okay, so I think I found some things. What exactly did you want me to say?
"Oh, my little friend, I just wanted to know if you saw anything weird or if you saw anybody else out there. Any other not mice."
So it's a little bit of a stretch. I don't really know how far to tell you because I'm just a mouse, but it goes on for a little bit, and then there are some stairs. And at the bottom of the stairs, there's a couple traps, but I'm smart enough to know that cheese is not the one I want. And there seems to be like some sort of door, but there's not enough space for me to sort of pass underneath it. So, and it's really cold and hard to the touch.
I'm sorry, we're keeping this mouse. Too cute.
He says, "Hang on 1 second, my friend." English turns to Raiden and gives you the information after he just squeaked his way at the mouse.
I will say that is a great scouting mouse. We might need to keep that for later.
That's a good idea. And English gets back down towards the mess and says, "Hey, little buddy, would you be so honored to just come along with me?"
Sure. I mean, I kind of feel compelled to.
Of course you do. And he kind of like holds open his pocket, and gestures for the mouse to jump in.
Yeah,
You
it
have a
does
pet
cute
horse, pet
it does
dogs, pet rat.
Yeah, it does a cute little front flip into your pocket.
Oh,
And he goes, there might be a bit of cheese down in that pocket too. Help yourself.
Oh boy. And it finds whatever is in your pocket.
I think at this point Raiden would just open the doors, just normally, not slam it or anything, and he'll just proceed with the mouse's caution.
Okay. Would you like to proceed stealthily?
He'll
Maybe.
try, because even if he fails, it'll just be like he's normally walking anyways.
Right?
Yeah. So he'll try.
Mhox. Oh, that's your investigation. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, I should probably
That's
roll
an
for that
11.
stealth too, huh?
Do you want us to all roll for that stealth?
Yeah.
Might as well.
It's
Damn,
19
at
for Mhox.
disadvantage.
Yeah, I rolled two
Okay.
17s.
Oh God, please be
Hey.
higher. Ooh, okay. So I rolled a
Oh
nat
no.
20, but my lowest is 16.
Okay, so 16, 19, and what?
11.
Okay. Okay, so we'll come back in just a second. I have to go check on my wife. I'll be right
Sure.
back.
So let's think. We have a couple of spider pets. We have a couple of dog pets. We have a lion griffin pet that Zephyr has. I have a undead spectral horse pet. Now we have a mouse pet. What else pet?
I know, we're just kind of collecting a zoo.
Well,
I
because
gotta
Troxy,
make a character that has rats. Sorry.
Troxy has what, like the sprout, whatever things.
Yeah, whatever those things
Like-
are.
She has like tree ants.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Whole ass tree ant army. It's gonna be a formidable kingdom if nobody messes with Windshire for like 5 years. We're gonna have an undead army, a spider army, a tree ant army, as probably other shit. Like it's gonna be a pretty tough army.
All the army.
Well, you think
And then
about
all the
like,
characters on top.
yeah, I was gonna say just our characters alone, because on top of the player characters right now, you still have Noel. Um, uh, shit, I'm blanking on his name right now. The Squire Hendrickson.
Hendrix.
Like they're all pretty decent high level adventurers in their own right as well. So like half the population of Windshire is like fucking heroes for hire. Like,
Yeah. Or a militant city at this rate. It's like everybody must serve like some time in the military at this rate.
I think I've really enjoyed this session more because like some of the attributes that Mhox is like designed for have like come into play.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's showing. Like that's what I was kind of getting at. I was like, well, this isn't Raiden's specialty, but I'm pretty sure it's Mox's or Engless's.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you're what Ranger, right?
Uh-huh. I'm a Ranger Beastmaster.
Oh yeah. How's she doing?
Choo choo choo.
I am back. So she's like doing better, but I think she's going to tap out for the night.
Sure.
She's going to try and take a bath and contemplate if she wants to make herself throw up or not. You know what I'm saying?
I always jump straight to that option because I know once it's up and out, I feel better.
So, as you guys continue on, you open the door, and it's marginally heavy, Raiden, as you sling it open with your
Sure.
mechanical form, you know, for the most part, maybe it's just because of Fia's direct involvement in this sort of like stealth mission. Uh, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the group and be like, hey, everyone rolled enough, good enough, kind of. So we'll say that you're able to get into this long hallway that stretches about 40 feet. And the flooring itself is polished sheets of metal that are riveted in the corners that take about, there's like two riveted pieces of sheet metal next to each other as you go down this hallway, and it's polished in a very sort of chromatic sort of way. And as you get to the stairs, it drops down about 10 feet where you see another set of doors that are double wide, and actually very, very, very reminiscent of the vault door that you guys saw when you went to find Fia's old crew. That contained behind it the research that they were doing as far as like the cloning process goes, which gives you a very strong indicator that this is more than likely Radaghast related. Upon closer inspection of the door, it does not appear to be trapped or any sort of like magicalness to it. Is anyone proficient in perception?
Yes.
Yes.
I need Engless and Raiden to both roll perception checks for me.
22.
That would be 15 for Engless.
Okay, so Raiden, as you approach the door, you can see Endless kind of put his ear up against the door, and Endless, you do hear murmuring. It sounds like conversation, but it's hard to make out through however thick this door is and how big the chamber is on the other side. However, Raiden, as you get closer, you can hear the sounds echoing inside of your skull. It seems to be a conversation between at least two people. You can't hear them distinctly enough to make out their voices. And it makes you unsure if now is the right time to open this door or not. Because you're not sure what is in view or not, if that makes sense.
Well, he's gonna look at the rest of the party to just kind of see if they're ready.
Could I use Grim Psychometry, touching the door, to roll a history check to recall information about the sinister nature of anything involving this door, like potentially what's in the other side?
Sure.
Cool.
That's an 18.
Okay, let me think about this.
So what it says is, well, I guess it said I had advantage, but it's for recalling information about the sinister or tragic history of an object you're touching or your current location.
Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of creative liberty with this.
Mm-hmm.
Is this more going off of your intellect, or is this like an arcane-based thing?
It doesn't specify. I was going with like the arcane, like blood magic sort of route.
Sure. Okay. Here we go. As you recognize that your companions have been able to hear some sort of going-ons on the other side of this door, you put your hand on top of it, and as you concentrate, you sort of like empathically feel your emotions within the structure, and you immediately hear the cries of women, children, and men in unison, just like "Ah!" It just immediately sounds like an abomination that you've encountered in the wild. And upon moving past that abrupt moment of chaos, uh, sick, vile acts have been committed in this building, and this doorway essentially acts as a portal to that realm. You get visions of people strapped to gurneys, or not gurneys, what's the word? Stretchers, being forcibly taken by their will into this room. Uh, the contents of the room is outside of your vision, um, but there is a very dark, sinister feeling that is associated with this, and you're familiar with the ick of Radaghast, though you may not have had a close encounter like some in the group may have. You're familiar with the stench, if you will, and the moment you remove your hand, it feels really warm to the touch.
Um, with all of that information and basically like the pain and agony like that he just experienced, like from imbuing his hand onto the door, he'll kind of like take a knee as he turns back. I don't know if right now is the best time, but I don't know if there's ever going to be a good time to open this door. I can't be for sure if all the images are currently what's happening or the past, but it seems to be that this is where abominations are actively made. It might even be
Okay.
the starting place, so these could be people that haven't been fully converted.
Okay. At this point, Raiden's going to use his bonus action to give himself 13 temp hit points using Guardian Field.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cast Haste on, I guess, everybody here. Let's see.
So that's 5th level?
I've got haste.
Oh yeah, don't cast it on Endless. He has a ring of haste.
Let's see. Do-do-do. I guess at 4th level?
Yeah, that would be right.
Okay, so just me and Mox will have haste. And then at that point, he's going to go ahead and open this door up.
Leroy Jenkins.
Would you like to save? Because upon this point you can't. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no saving here. He's gonna.
Let's
he's gonna
activate the
swing it
bonfire
wide
real quick.
open.
Activate the bonfire real quick and then go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Raiden. How do you? Not that it's super relevant, but I'm curious. Do you open both doors or just one of the doors?
Oh yeah, he opens both doors, just like entering. Yeah. He just shoves them open, just wham, entering into like a ballroom, just to get everybody's attention. Like, I'm here.
Okay. So, as the Fellowship of the Bear, in the heart of what is allegedly supposed to be the happenings of this whole Radaghast operation, you open up the doors and step in within the threshold, followed by your companions, side to side. You find yourself, much like at the base in the Xenoth Peaks of Via's old teammates, you find yourself at the top of a stairwell. There's about a 10 square foot space of flooring that allows you to look down upon what seems to be about 100 foot by 150 foot space, and there are almost identical to the technology that Fia's old crew was using when you had initially discovered it, but at a capitalist sort of level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as like growth goes. There are, approximately 60 to 80 different vats, and they all kind of make a circular pattern as they follow the chamber itself into this mountain. And in the center of it, there's a area for research. You see a 3 or 4 tables that have numerous amounts of papers and books upon. And down below, you notice Hermione and oh shit, I cannot remember his name.
Weasel, something like that.
It's
Worms.
Worms.
Yes.
Worms.
You see a familiar foe, Worms, sitting at a table. They're both appearing to wear lab coats, which immediately gives everyone the idea that they're at least on a level playing field as far as what they're contributing in their relationship. You do not seem to be noticed so far. Do you wish to, as a group, to get closer to potentially hear what they're talking about?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, how close are we?
Okay, so right now, you're not.
And
I would say you're like maybe like 60 feet away. You'd have to go down these stairs, and then it's like a 50 or so foot walk to the center of this chamber, where they're at.
can I cast Pass Without Trace?
Oh my god, yes, please.
I was gonna say Mox was gonna Aether Walk.
What does that mean?
At the start of my turn, I can step between the planes. So I basically go to the ethereal plane,
Ether plane?
and I have up to 4 rounds in the ethereal plane.
Okay, so we'll say for the thematics that this will contribute to, instead of like rolling any type of stealth check, this is your way around it. Okay, so with Engless casting Pass Without Trace, you notice instantly the natural shadows that exist within this laboratory now start to pull away from where they originally set and sort of like combine into your being, giving everybody a +10 to their stealth check, excluding Mhox.
Oh,
Yeah, Pass Without Trace is cool.
hell yeah. So are we rolling stealth?
Yes, please.
And for Mox, kind of how I envision it is he kind of like reaches out, like he's pulling a tear, and then like steps in, sort of thing.
Sure.
I'm
Dude,
trying to see
yeah.
good rolls. So at disadvantage for English, that would be 32.
Damn. What about you, Raiden?
That's a 21.
Okay. A bond. What's the word I'm looking for? I'll just move on. As you guys make your way down these stairs, it's almost impressive, Raiden. This is probably you're in your A game right now. Even though you are in this 7 to 8 foot monstrosity of an armor,
Mm-hmm.
you have been able to heel and tow yourself down this metal grated staircase, which already gives a hard challenge to your metal form. However, over the next 5 to 6 minutes, you all carefully move at a slow pace and eventually are able to position yourselves behind the different vats to be able to hide yourselves but be close enough to the conversation. You see, right as you two get into position, you see a tear behind one of the vats just open up into space, and Mox just like precariously come through in a stealthy position, getting in the most advantageous spot he can. As that happens, you hear, okay, worms, I believe we need to accelerate the process because I don't think you really understand the timeline we're dealing with. And there's a considerable pause. Oh, well, okay. So here's the thing. A lot of my research was taken. I just can't do it. I just don't know what you expect from me. And it's at this point, there's a whoosh of wind that goes throughout the whole chamber, disturbing any loose paper or book that was left out on the table, and flies it across the room, with the echoing voice of Hermione ringing through this large cavern. Worms, do you not understand? As she brings it back down. We're well past the big plan. We gotta pull something out of our asses. Do you understand the position that I am in? And she just like snaps her fingers as like a brief amount of flame combusts on Worm's person and immediately distinguishes. Do you not realize the stakes that are... You know? And she's interrupted. Oh, please, Professor Hermione, you don't understand. I think I have the key. I just need more people. Hermione interjects with a stern, lower demeanor. You know, I hate that it's even come to this, but it's just like they say. If you want something done right, do it your fucking self. And she stands up and starts to walk the direction away from you guys towards what you now realize is another set of nearly identical doors at the other side of this chamber. And after a few moments, Hermione excuses herself, and Worms is left to his own volition as he gets up and starts murmuring to himself, "Goddamn stupid cunt! She doesn't even realize the work I even put into all this." And he starts to like pick up all the papers and the books that were blown off from her tantrum that she had put forth in front of him. What do you guys like to do?
I'm gonna use unless somebody. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna do, but if somebody has something else, I don't mind switching it up. I'm gonna use Thorn Whip to grab him and pull him straight up to me.
I don't know if anyone has any interjections. Do you? Endless?
No.
Please make a spell attack roll.
Is it at advantage?
I'll say it's an advantage because of your like stealthiness.
Hell yeah. 22.
Waiting for Worms to get in the right spot for you to be able to use your whip within the range.
Mm-hmm.
Right as he lifts up the last stack of papers and like kind of corrects it and makes it neatly onto the table, right as he places it down, and he gets pulled back 10 or 15 feet, wrapped up in the vines, and he can't quite see the whole party, but as the reality starts to hit him, and he looks at you, Raiden, and then looks over his shoulder to see Engless behind another vat, and Mox joined with Fia. he starts to realize he's about to scream. So I want to give someone else the opportunity to react.
Sure.
Engliss
And
is
he took
gonna-
11 damage, by the way.
Okay, thank you. I'll write it down.
Mox will hit him with Blood Curse of the Anxious. So he's gonna be at. We'll have advantage on intimidation checks against him.
Ooh. Okay. Endless, did you want to try and shut him up before he yells?
Yeah, Engliss is gonna cast Conjure Animals, and he's gonna conjure a alligator, like right next to him, and just kind of like put his fingers up to his lips and shake his head at him.
Make an intimidation check, please. And that
At
you said that's
advantage.
right?
Yeah.
At advantage.
That would be a 21.
Right as he's about to yell out the name Hermione, it's cut short. Hurrah! And you see him just instantly freeze in his tracks like a cruel sick dame. The cat has now become the mouse in the trap. And you see this tabaxi just like sit super still and quiet as this alligator snout just like is like inches from his face. Everyone feeling slightly confident that they have the time to talk moves out of their space of stealth to approach the now tied up, surrounded worms. You have the floor.
I'd say since we have him tied up, Raiden would like to move him back towards like where they came in and close the doors, just in case, like a buffer for sound.
Okay, that can be doable. You spend the next 7 minutes trying to, though Worms has shown that he's compliant in this situation, there is still a little bit of resistance. So there's a little bit of ass kicking and heel clicking that has to be done to get him prodded to move into the prior chamber.
The entire time that they're moving, Engliss is gonna have the alligator like just right on Worms's ass, like doing that alligator growl that they do.
In fact, I'll say there's going to be one instance of Worms trying to like make his escape, but there's a nip from the alligator. So if you want to, I don't know what the damage is on like a bite attack, but you can roll that, and that will keep him in check as it takes a chunk of his calf muscle.
Let's see. What do I have? Or
If you don't want to try to lift it up, you can probably just roll like 2d8 or something.
all right, so you want me to just do straight? Well, so if I base it off of like Jeffrey's bite attack, it looks like it has a +3 to Jeffrey's. So if you want, I could do that.
I won't make you roll to attack. I'll just have you roll damage, just because it's
Okay.
more like because of the situation and the circumstance. Like he's pretty compromised.
Okay, what did you want me to roll?
The crocodile stat block shows a 1d10. If that would 1d10
Okay, yeah.
plus 2.
Yeah, roll. Yeah, exactly that.
Okay. So 6 with the modifier would be 8.
Okay. Sorry, hold on.
When you brought this up, I'm like, Banjo Kazooie, whenever you transform into the crocodile, is what fucking popped in my head.
But yeah, with the nip from the crocodile, Worms is become reminded that he is the lower in this situation, and that upon entering the prior chamber in that hallway, you guys have the floor.
Well.
Hey,
Oh.
hey! I know, I know what this looks like, but it doesn't have to be bad. What?
So you murdered 2 of your friends, ran away, and are still trying to help Hermione. You really are just non-redeemable.
Whoa. Hey, hold on. I am redeemable because of this. And he like taps on his skull. What if what if I forget all of this and I just go with you guys? See, look, and then he points over to Fia. Fia, come on, like, hear me out. And she just like has this look of disgust on her face, of like betrayal and untrust.
I want the signal for the alligator to nip at Worms again.
Yeah, fucking roll damage.
That would be 9 damage.
Okay, Worms is starting to look rough.
I think at this point, I'm actually fine with stopping if we want to have the rest of the party here for this. Since it's like 10:38 or whatever. I don't know. I just in my head it just feels like it's an important part for Fia, and I want the rest of the group here.
I
I can kind of concur with that.
you know what? I agree. You know what? As much as I'd want to, but I think you're right. Yeah, I think it would be better for
Because
sure.
Yeah,
we're
I
missing
want
a
to
lot
hear.
of players right now.
Yeah, I want to hear especially Fia's like RP with this, and then
Okay.
Zaf and Troxy here too.
Okay, so this is what will happen. We leave off with the Fellowship of the Standing Bear not only being able to track down what seems to be the operation of Radaghast, but now have Worms in your custody. Next
That bitch
time,
is out.
we'll pick up with the group. Fucking, who knows what they'll do to Worms to get information out of them. But we'll pick up their next time, I guess.